Good morning. My name is Alan Baxter and I'm here at my teaching apiary in Hampshire on the south coast of England. It's nearly 8 o'clock in the morning and the temperature is already 27 degrees and it's forecast to be 37 later on in the day. Fortunately, we've got an onshore breeze at the moment which is bringing a little cool air into the apiary. Here you'll see we have a field. It's about 1.5 acres of meadow, a very tall field grass at the moment. The spring flowers are all finished and the summer flowers are just coming into view. There's a bit of ragwort, there's giant hogweed, poppies, lots of other species waiting to come into bloom. We're surrounded by trees, native species, oak, ash, beech, there's blackthorn, hawthorn, elder, a number of trees all the way around us, which also provide a screen for the apiary. Behind me and to the left there's a large bank of brambles, which are in flower at the moment, which are giving us a nectar flow. And generally, this is a good apiary from that point of view. It's selected, it's secrete. We're not very much overlooked. We have a secure entrance. The screen of trees provides a windbreak, and there's plenty of forage. We're in a mosaic of foragers in this area. The disadvantage is the size. It's a little bit small for the number of colonies I have here. I'd rather my colonies were spaced further apart to cut down drifting and robbing for the transmission of disease. And the other disadvantage is there's a new road, a bypass, about 200 meters from here. And when the bees are foraging on the other side of the bypass, they can be hit by traffic. They can be hit by cars or vehicles traveling along that road. So otherwise, the apiary works very well. Today we're going to inspect this colony, number 16. This is a colony that's been used as a queen rearing colony. It's a cell raiser. So you can see it's got a double brood box. I'm going to put my hood up now because the bees are starting to get a bit inquisitive. So these hives are British National 14 by 12, so 14 inches by 12 inches, the frame size inside. They've got a similar capacity to a 10 frame Langstroth deep. So there are two brood boxes here with a queen excluder in between, 2 supers and a gabled roof. When I do my inspection today, I'm expecting to see a lot of bees and quite a lot of brood, I hope. I think there's in view of the strength of the colony, I think there's a strong possibility that they will be preparing to swarm. So we'll be looking for swarm cells. And I really want to see how well the colony is progressing. So I'm expecting to see quite a lot of frames of brood, brood in all stages, and a young queen. Looking at the entrance, first of all, I'm looking around the outside. I can't see any dead bees on the ground in front of the hive. No bees crawling, struggling to fly. The front of the hive, there are no fecal stains. The bees seem to be very calm. The guard bees aren't really taking much notice of me when I pass my hand in front. So the colony is quite relaxed. They're busy bringing in pollen and nectar. It's nice to see the pollen coming in, different colours. It's mostly buff coloured pollen, which tells me they're foraging on the bramble at the moment, but there's some bright yellow pollen there too. It's very important that they have a diverse mixture of pollens, because not all pollens are equal. They have different values of protein, lipids, steroids, and vitamins and essential minerals. So we want them to have a diversity, so they've got a diverse gut microbiota, just like humans. There's no fighting at the entrance. There's a dead bee being escorted out by one of the undertaker bees. I'll be expecting the ventilator bees to be fanning the entrance to keep the interior cool during the day. So I'm quite happy with the external experience. So I'm going to take the roof off. This is a gabled roof. Inside there's a layer of insulation. I'll leave that on in the summer because these roofs get very hot, as you can imagine. And what I've done here, I've lifted the crown board off a little bit and wedged it open with a twig to give a through draft of air. So that helps them keep the inside of the hive cool. I'll put it down here for a moment. We don't normally inspect the supers first, mainly because we don't want to drive any more bees down into the brood chamber. So I'll take the supers off. I know they're very full, so I may have to ask Tim to help me with this. I'm just gently easing up the uh, the super, so I don't try not to crush bees. So I'm going to lift it off. That's very heavy. I'm going to have to ask Tim to help me with this. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to put it inside the roof at a diagonal so they don't get squashed. Good. You can take the roof, the crown board off, and then put it on the second one. And that's it. I'll just crack this one as well. That should be okay to lift as well now. Oh, bees scaling underneath there. Be careful with those, they don't get squashed. Okay. So this is the second brew box. Again, it's quite full of bees. There's no need to disturb this because we're only going to look at the brew box inside in the bottom. So I'm going to take this one off as well. So here we are. We've got the queen excluder here. Looking at the bees on the top of the queen excluder, I'm looking to see, first of all, how they're behaving. Are they moving normally? No bees shivering or trembling. Their wings all look intact, no sign of deformed wings. No K-wing, where the front and the rear fastenings, the hamuli, don't connect, so the wing forms a figure K. No black shiny bodies. So generally, so far, they look quite healthy. There's quite a lot of propolis around here. I don't mind that. It's a bit of a nuisance for the beekeeper, but propolis has antimicrobial properties, and the bees in the wild they line the brood chamber with an envelope of propolis, which gives them a clean environment. So I like to encourage them to do that here. So I'm just gently lifting off the queen excluder, a quick twist to break any comb. Well, I'm going to turn it over, being careful to keep it over the brood box in case the queen is on there. It has been known, because there is some comb on here, so she could well be in here. I can't see her at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down in front of the hive and to one side. It doesn't impede the flying bees, but also if the queen happens to be on there, then she can fly back into the hive quite easily. Again, looking at the brood box, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 frames of 11 seams of bees, which is pretty much what I'd expected. Again, the honeybees, the bees look quite normal. I can't see any sign of difficulty there at all. Again, there's a little bee doing the waggle dance there. These are all workers, of course. The smaller bees, the slightly pointy abdomen where their sting and their egg laying, their ovipositors. So I think we're ready to have a look inside. I'm not going to use any smoke at this stage. The first frame, we call this a dummy board, and this doesn't have any honeycomb on it, just a plain the plain board, which we lift out gently to avoid rolling any bees. There's a bit of comb on it. You can see there, just worker bees on there, and there's a drone. See the drone there, he's bigger than the others. He's got a blunt abdomen, very large thorax where his big flight muscle, big powerful flight muscles are, and those big compound eyes on the front. He's on the front of his head and top of his head. That enables him to see queens in the air when he's in the drone congregation area looking for queens to mate with. So there's a drone. There are several of those here. They don't sting, they don't have a sting, they don't need one. And you can quite comfortably pick them up. Whoop. Pick them up and have a look at them like that. So I'll put him on my finger like that, he'll grip it, and then we can see there he is, and he flies away. Again, no sign of a queen here, but I wouldn't expect that. It's not a brood frame, or on that side either. So what I'll do is I'll just drop those on there gently, and again I'll put that in the front towards the side so that the bees can fly back when they want to. So the first live frame, if you like, I'm just going to ease it gently with my hive tool as a lever. I'm only passing my hive tool over the seam once, and out it comes. And I can feel by the weight that this has probably got a lot of stores. Yes, that's a frame of freshly drawn comb, and it's full of nectar. You can see the nectar glistening in the cells here, so that's a very encouraging sign that we still have a nectar flow in progress. And again, it's mainly workers, but quite a few drones, because it is the swarming season, so they'll need plenty of drones for mating. On that side, it's only partly drawn out. So this is a refurbished frame that I put in earlier that's got fresh foundation. So this can join the dummy board on the side there. And I think soon we should be coming into the brood nest. Again, the guard bees aren't taking much notice of me, so I don't need to smoke them. Don't need to change their behaviour because they're not behaving badly. And out we come. This is heavy too. And again, this is a frame of mixed nectar and pollen. And there's some nectar there that has been capped. So they're starting to cap this. You can see this arc of stores that they're building here. It's very heavy. And with the heat, the comb is quite soft, so I have to be careful it doesn't break. And it's the same on the other side. Plenty of bees on here, well populated with bees, all busily working away, but still quite calm. And they're starting to cap the nectar there. I'm going to put this back. I'll bring it to the back of the hive here so that when I remove the frames, I'm maintaining bee space between them. Again, just gently break the seal like that. Slip away these bees. I don't want to trap them underneath, or otherwise they'll sting me. I'm wearing gloves not to protect me against them, but to protect them against me. They don't want my germs. So I'm wearing these thin disposable gloves. Okay. So here we have the first frame of brood. Just blow the bees gently so we can have a look at it. I'm looking for solid patches of brood with even comb, even cappings, biscuit colour, light biscuit colour, nicely domed. A few holes here. This is where the bees have uncapped the cells to investigate them inside, because they suspect there's something wrong in there. It might be varroa mites, for example, more likely. then they will recap those. That's called hygienic behavior. And this is something that we really want our bees to have. So in the center you've got you've got all the capped brood, and then there's an age progression towards the outside. So you've got the uncapped there, the capped, and then the very young ones and the eggs round the outside. So that's a natural age progression, and it should be in the proportion of about 4 to 2 to 1, and that reflects the development times of from egg to larva to pupa to imago. So I'm going to look in further towards the edge of the brood nest to see if I can see any eggs. Here there's a queen cup. The bees make queen cups from time to time. Often they don't mean anything. We might call them play cups. But if there's something in them, then we think they're starting to think about making a new queen. You see, I'm opening this queen cup now, and there's nothing inside, so it's of no significance. Uncapped larvae here. I can't see any eggs at the moment. So the queen hasn't been on this frame for a day or two. Let's have a look on the other side. Similarly, there's more bald brood here. If the bald brood is in a straight line, then it's almost certainly caused by wax moth larvae burrowing under the cappings. There's often a line of uncapped or of empty cells where the wire of the frame is running, so the queen doesn't like laying on there. But otherwise, these look pretty much like hygienic behavior. I'm not seeing any sunken cappings, sunken greasy looking cappings, which might indicate American foul brood. I'm not seeing any larvae sitting uncomfortably in their cells. The larvae are pearly white, C-shaped, clear segmentation, you can see them. And looking inside, I can see they're glistening with brood food, which tells me that the nutritional state of the colony is satisfactory. And again, this is all uncapped brood towards the edge. Blow them off a little bit. See if I can see any eggs. Not yet. No eggs on there. No, not at the moment. Okay, so we'll put this frame back and try the next one. So that's brood frame number 1. I'm very conscious of the fact there's no evidence to prove that that honeybees aren't sentient beings. So I do treat them with respect. This is their home. I wouldn't like it if a monster in a strange looking spacesuit came to take the roof off my house and pulled out all my furniture. And I know that inspecting colonies is very disruptive to the life and rhythm of the colony. So here we try to do it as little as possible. Right, another frame of cap stores. I'm looking to see the queen, but I can't see her at the moment. If I don't see her, it doesn't matter as long as there are eggs. Bee doing a waggle dance there, telling its sisters where the forage is. This is more mature cappings. These are all ready to emerge. Again, looking around the edge of the brood nest to see if I can see any eggs. The eggs are a little tiny, about the size of a sesame seed. And if they're sitting upright in the cell, it means the queen has laid the egg very recently. If they're at an angle of about 45 degrees, it was yesterday. and if they're lying flat on the cell, it was probably the day before yesterday. It's a very rough rule of thumb. Now this is very heavily populated with bees. Now I've just got a little sting there, so I'm going to get it out, and then I'm going to smoke my hand to disperse the pheromones. The sting pheromone will attract other bees to the site, and I don't want any more stings. The sting is gone, so that's that. Just blow them off, see if I can see any eggs. Again, the brood looks quite healthy. Yeah, it's even cappings, not too many holes. A little bit of drone brood there. That's drone brood in worker cells. Now that's not particularly normal. That's why they're knobbly. That's not something I would expect to see. Drone cells are normally, drone brood is normally in bigger cells because of the size of the pupa. And if there's drone brood in a worker cell, it means that egg that went in there hasn't been fertilized. Now we don't know the reason for that. At the top here we can see there's quite a bit of hygienic behavior going on, uncapping of cells. And so far more normal brood there. So far I haven't seen the queen or evidence of her. But it's very difficult sometimes when you've got a mass of bees like this to see the queen. Some of these cells have been backfilled with pollen, with bee bread. When the adult bee emerges, the bees, the house bees, will clean out the cell. They'll polish it, either for the queen to start laying there again, or they'll backfill it with nectar or pollen. I'm not seeing any more queen cups so far, although they can be very good at hiding them. Sometimes the swarm cells are hidden in breaks in the comb and along the sides here, and it's very easy to miss them. But as far as the health of the brood is concerned, I'm quite satisfied with that. There are no pointy heads, Chinese slipper-looking heads to indicate sac brood, and certainly nothing that looks like any kind of foul brood. All the larvae are looking good. They've all got plenty of food in their cells, so nothing to worry about there so far. But I'm just going to keep an eye on the drone brood in a worker cell, in worker cells. This one, just gently break the seal. There we go. When a honeybee stings, it's a barb sting, and the terminal, the end of the sting mechanism stays with it. So when the bee withdraws, she can't withdraw the sting, so she leaves behind her sting mechanism and the terminal ganglia of her nervous system, and that still keeps pushing the sting further in. So it's important to get it out quickly. Now see on the side here, there's a queen cup, and that's empty. Another one here, and that's also empty. Yeah, so nothing to remark about that. This is more scattered looking brood. A lot of these cells are open, either because the bee has emerged, or because they've been uncapped by the bees. It's hard to tell. But again, I'm looking for eggs, not seeing any. Not seeing any sign of the queen at all. If I do see her, she'll have a much longer abdomen. She's quite distinctive. She's bigger than the other bees, longer, and that long abdomen contains her ovaries, 2 ovaries, with between 160 and 180 ovules inside. And there she's got all the eggs that she needs for the rest of her life. She has enough sperm. The sperm is contained in a container called the spermatheca, and that has a duct into the queen's birth canal, where every time a worker egg comes along, she releases one sperm to fertilize the egg. If the size of the cell, which is measured with her forelegs, if the size of the cell is a big one for a drone, then she won't fertilize the egg. So the drones are made from unfertilized eggs. They're called haploid as opposed to females, which are diploid. Females have 32 chromosomes, the males only have 16. Nothing to worry about here. Again, another frame of completely capped brood. I can't see the queen. There are so many bees on here, it's difficult to see everything. I'm particularly keen to see where the queen is, because I think she may well have some difficulty because of the drone brood in worker cells, which I don't like the look of at all. There's some more here. If there is drone brood in worker cells, it tells me that we've got a drone laying queen. She's run out of sperm, and the bees are quite likely to supersede her. There's a little room on here. I can't see any eggs on there at all so far. That's 3 brood frames. I'll just do another one very quickly because time is running on. And I want to talk to you about my Varroa management policy. Here we use integrated pest management. They're starting to get a little bit lively now, so I might just change the behaviour of the guard bees a bit. Just smoke them off slightly. Nice cool white smoke to move them off the end frames here so I don't get stung again. Out we come. Again, another frame of brood there. Drone cells here. Yeah. So no sign of the queen. But apart from not seeing the queen and not seeing any eggs, this is pretty much where I'd expect this colony to be. But I do want to come back and do a fuller inspection later to make sure that they are still queen right. So it's warming up quite a lot now. The bees are starting to get a little bit agitated, so I'm going to close them up, and that will be enough for them today. Let's move the frames back into position like that. Try not to disturb them too much. Using a hive tool. In goes the last frame. And the dummy board. Now that's sink in normally, actually on its own weight. Just check the bee space at the front and at the back. As you can see they are starting to get a little bit more agitated. I'm going to put the queen excluder back again. I'll shake these bees off. And put the second brood box back. Do it without crushing bees. There we are. Well, I'm going to ask Tim now to put these supers back on again, and then we'll talk for a few minutes about Varroa. Would you like to do that, Tim? We could do with an extra frame in here, but I didn't have one to hand yesterday, so I will. Yeah. Just check underneath the soup, the second super, before you put it back. There may well be a skein of bees underneath it. There are quite a few bees under there, so just be careful as it goes on. I'm sure you will, yeah. Infinitely careful. Those supers are very full, so we're going to, the next visit, we'll give them a new box of foundation, super foundation. In the meantime, they've got plenty of space. There's space for the bees to draw out more comb. There's still a bit of space for the queen to lay, but that will be the next intervention, really, to carry out a more complete colony stock take, really, to see if we can find the queen, find some eggs, and give them a new brood box. With regard to Varroa, we practice integrated pest management here, and that means that's a process, really. You identify your pest, which in this case is Varroa destructor. You identify a threshold above which you have to take action, and in this case our threshold is 2%. That's 6 bees in a sample of 100 or 300 bees that we count during an alcohol wash. We do alcohol wash once a month all the way through the season. We also have a sticky board underneath the open mesh floor, or screened bottom board, that stops the mites which fall off the bees' bodies from climbing back into the hive. And also you can count the Varroa on it to give you an idea of the level of Varroa population, but it's not very accurate. The alcohol wash is the accurate one. You can also see on the sticky board if there's been any hygienic behaviour. You'll see cannibalized pupae with legs and antennae on the Varroa board, and that tells you they're practicing Varroa sensitive hygiene behaviour, and that's the holy grail, really. If the threshold is exceeded, and we haven't lowered it by using drone brood removal, for example, we've got a frame of drone foundation in. The queens will draw it out. The bees will draw it out, and the queen will lay drone eggs in there. The Varroa mite prefers drone cells because the 24 days development gives them an extra 3 days in which to produce more mated females, and the difference is quite stark. So if a Varroa mite lays in a worker cell, at the end of the Varroa development, at the end of the worker development, the mother, one female, which 1.3 females on average will emerge from that cell. If it's a drone cell, the number is 2.6, so it doubles the potential. So you can see why they prefer drone brood. So we put a frame of drone brood in, we sacrifice that, or we can uncap drones as well. If all else fails, then we will consider a miticide. We only use organic, if you like, natural materials. This year we're using Varromed, which is Formic Pro and oxalic acid. And Formic Pro kills the mites inside the cells, and the oxalic acid, the phoretic or dispersal phase mites. The trials have shown it's between 77 and 83% effective, so we'll do a series of treatments. And then in the winter, we hope there'll be we try to give them a brood break as well. So you can give a brood break by caging the queen, by doing a split, by allowing them to swarm, which we have on a few occasions this year. And the swarm gives them a brood break of 2 to 3 weeks. So if all else fails, we treat them and just keep monitoring the situation. The bigger colonies are the ones that are more susceptible to drone damage, to Varroa damage, because the bigger the population of bees, the bigger the population of Varroa. So there's a case to be made for having much smaller brood boxes and not having such big populations. But that's another discussion. So I'm satisfied with this to the moment. There is further action to be taken, which I've already described. I think the temperature is rising, and it's time for us to get in the cool and have a cold drink. Thank you very much.